Go.
Guys, welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Today is June 17th, 2015, and ClueCon's rapid approaching. We're going to talk a little bit about ClueCon. We'll talk to Kathleen for a minute on the week in review, and then we'll jump right into our demo, which this week we're going to be showing everybody set up the latest FreeSWITCH master branch. There's been a lot of discussions about that, and a lot of how do I do this? I can't get this to work, that kind of thing. So what we'll do is, oh, that was a little disconcerting. We'll do a demo so you guys can follow along on video. So if you need the link, ask IRC, and we can pass that around for any of you guys that aren't watching video, because we are broadcasting YouTube. So anyway, as you guys know, ClueCon's coming up. So I know, Mr. West, I think we've had some exciting developments this past week. ClueCon, you want to touch on those a little bit?
Yeah, so this past week, we spoke with the gentleman over at We'll be doing a FreeSWITCH training Friday the 7th, so mark your calendar. We also have published our schedule and speakers list on ClueCon.com. Please visit ClueCon.com to check out the latest information. There are a few slots that still aren't filled. We're working. We have people to put in those slots. We're just trying to get everything arranged and verified. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about ClueCon and the schedule, be sure to email marketing@ClueCon.com, and we'll be there to answer any questions. If you need assistance on preparing your travel arrangements, if you're doing international or need help getting from airport to the hotel, let us know. We can give you some guidance.
Schedule, I know there was a pretty exciting one, Brian, yesterday. Is that something we can talk about or we can allude to?
Not yet. I'm still in the process of getting that lined up.
All right. So, yeah, so you guys definitely want to show up this year, because I know on Tuesday afternoon we'll be having the ORTC table. Those guys are actually really cool. Of course, the always good security roundtable will be back on Wednesday afternoon, and on Thursday, and you don't want to miss it. You'll have the entire FreeSWITCH dev team on stage doing a FreeSWITCH roundtable. So it's also be a good time after you soaked up everything you can at ClueCon. It'll be a good time to nail the developers down and ask them some of those questions that you'll be formulating by that point. So go to ClueCon as soon as possible, so we have those. So get those so you can get all as they come out, those, and to ClueCon those dates, those updates on there. So do that now. And Kathleen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing great.
Great.
So,
well, we had 51 commits go in. A lot of great features. Mod call center, reserve agents param. Mod Opus got FEC support. It was a good week.
Great, cool. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get started on the demo here. Thanks, Kathleen, for giving us that update as usual. So for you guys that are not watching video now, would be attention to that. The video share started here, so we can do a little. All right, there we go. Yes. So, as you guys know, FreeSWITCH 1.6 testing branch, and there's been a lot of changes that Jairus has brought in there with divorcing a lot of libs that we previously kept. Now we can depend on system dependencies, and this means there's more stuff you have to install. So for the sake of this demo, and because at this point it is the easiest way to do that, following the directions that are on the Confluence page, and for you guys in HipChat, I'll post that in real quick. And what this allows us to do is rapidly get a free up and running from the tree and get you where you can play with video. So that's the installation as we page. So for Jesse, Debian, you can do that from a minimal or from a net install ISO. And good to go, and that'll get you the base system that's required. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do before we do anything else is we're going to want to install the basic requirements for that. And to make lives easier on this, what we created is on the FreeSWITCH repo, there is a package specifically to help us out doing this. So we need to enable the FreeSWITCH repo. And that's as simple as this little list of commands to enable that right there on your Debian box. So you can literally copy and paste this bit of code here directly into your terminal, and it'll get everything you need to do. And then the last command here is just an apt-get update. So we'll do that apt-get update, and that's going to update apt here to know what all packages are available now. And then the very next step that we want to do is install those dependencies. So you can copy and paste this command line, which is basically an apt-get install FreeSWITCH video deps most. And with that, and on this particular box, we're not going to get much of a response here because I've already done this for time's sake. But you'll see that we're already up to date. So you can also do this again to update. But don't be surprised when you see, I don't know, I think it's about 600 megs of downloads or so, and this is not. This is due to the dependency chain of all the dependencies and the way they're packaged on Debian Jessie. So that you will see a fairly good-sized download at this point. So now, from there, that gets to where we need to be, and that includes, having Git and everything on there. So because of the way that branching works with Git, we're going to want to, and with the way that we use it with FreeSWITCH, we want to set this Git global variable pull.rebase as true. So you can just copy and paste that in, and you won't get a response, but Git will go ahead and set that. The next thing that we're going to want to do is go ahead and clone the FreeSWITCH repo. So again, we can just copy and paste right off the FreeSWITCH 1.6 plus video page and just paste that right in. So, make sure I don't have that there. So, just copy and paste that. And this will take a few seconds to run, but it doesn't take that long to run at all. And we'll download the source code for FreeSWITCH here. And as you can see, it takes minutes for this to complete. I'm on a fairly fast link, but the data center is also on a fairly fast link, so we can get that there. So we're going to pretend that that's completed, and you'll see that you have a FreeSWITCH.git directory there for the sake of this demo. I've got another directory already ready to go for FreeSWITCH. So the next thing that we want to do is we'll want to bootstrap and code. So for bootstrapping the code, it's simply bootstrap, and you do want to use the -J option here. The bootstrap -J option tells us to parallelize the bootstrap. Unless you're working on the bootstrap code itself in the script, you want to use this -J flag because it makes it run probably about 90% faster than not using the -J flag. And you'll see a bunch of stuff scroll by here. And if there's any errors, it'll tell you about it. If you're missing any of the dependencies that you should have, you'll see the errors here. Once this is completed, then we'll have the configure script. So we're going to move over to another screen here that's already bootstrapped. And as you'll see here, we have a configure script in here. So we can now run this configure script with the -C argument. And the C argument for configure here is another one of those little tips and tricks to just make the configure go faster with FreeSWITCH, because this tells because we do recursively run configure, it's possible that some of the checks that configure does are done multiple times through this. So the -C tells us to save the results in a cache And if we come across this test again later on during this run, we're going to use those over again. The configure is probably one of the parts of the build that's going to take you the most amount of time here. So if you're doing this, this is a good chance to get up and run, grab a cup of coffee real quick, and come right back because it will take just a few minutes to do. And we're going to leave that running and pretend that it's completed. And we're just going to jump over here to a pre-configured version of FreeSWITCH, which has a lot more bits in here now. So we'll have a make file and a modules.com that were previously not here. This is all generated as part of the bootstrapping configure process. So some of the modules that we want here enabled, they're disabled by default in the modules.com. So we can either use, there's two Perl commands on the Confluence page that we can use just by simply cutting and pasting, or we can, I'm going to do this manually, we can modify modules.com with our favorite editor. In this case, VI. For my sake, for you guys that use Emacs, it's the same thing. You guys know what you're doing there. And we want to enable mod VLC, mod AV. So just find the lines here. In this case, mod AV is right at the top. Just uncomment that. And I'm going to search for VLC. And here's mod VLC under formats. And we just want to uncomment that line also. And what that's going to tell the build to do is now build these modules. You'll notice that there's several other modules in here that have pound signs at the very beginning of them, like mod shout or mod shell stream. Any of these, if you want these modules, now is the time to go ahead and simply uncomment that line, just delete the pound sign, and then save that so that we can build those modules. Now, once we've got that completed, then we're going to move on to compiling the source code. So compiling on this box, on this particular box, takes 3 or 4 minutes, but the way to make that go the fastest is to use make-j. Now, keep in mind, if you're on a single core or a 2-core box, you may want to throw an argument like J4 out there to just restrict how many threads are trying to run, because make-j will run it build as wide as the build allows. So if it can run 50 things at one time, it's going to try to do that. You just run a make-j and boom, let it go. You'll start seeing stuff pour. You run across an error. Typically the error is going to be at the bottom of the log here, but if you can't figure out the error and you need help, those things where you want to take the entire and post that with your help request, because the error may be well above the last 10 lines of the log file or the last 20 lines of the output here. So the next thing that we need to do, and instead of waiting on this to complete, is we're just going to switch over to a directory that's already got FreeSWITCH built in it. And I'm just going to double check that real quick. And once you get down to the end of the build, you'll see this nice blue banner that reminding you about ClueCon, and it also tells you that right above that FreeSWITCH build has been complete. Now we can install FreeSWITCH with a make install. And oh, look at that! Right on our instruction page, make install is the next thing that we want to do. Now we'll install FreeSWITCH into user local FreeSWITCH because we didn't give it any of our configure flag. Put it in the FSS format or anything like that. Now this takes just a few seconds to run. And while it's doing that, let's look back over here. So the next thing that we would most likely want to install is the CD sounds. And the sounds files, these are for your IVRs. MOH is for your music on hold. And samples is the sample configs. I'm just going to copy and paste these because it only takes a few seconds for these guys to run. And something not right there. Oh, that's more better. I don't think it liked copy and paste there. But as you can see, what it's going to do is grab the sound files real quick, and if you're on a slower link, this will take a little bit of time. We're actually, this box is on a 100 meg link, so this runs fairly quick here. And while that's running, the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that some of the sysctls are set for the proper amount of RAM to be allowed here. Now, the easiest way to do that on Debian and Jesse is we want to go into our etc directory, so you will want to be root on this, and we want to go to our sysctl.d directory. As with everything on here, we can just create a file in here. So in this case, I'm just going to make it vid.com. Would have helped if I installed VIM first, but I didn't. And we can just copy and paste the settings that we need in here. Now, keep in mind that by putting them in the sysctl directory here, that what we're doing is we're setting these so that the next time the system reboots, that it will remember these settings. So I don't want to reboot the system, so I just want these to take effect immediately. So what we can do is set those with sysctl-w. So all we have to do is copy that and paste that right back into our terminal. And you do need to be root to do this. So if you're not logged in as root, you sudo sysctl and to set these. And now we've got the system pretty much ready to go. So now while that, so give me just 1 second here. We're going to move back to the screen, and we're going to go ahead and install the MOH here while we're moving along. So you can see this goes much faster. So while those are installing, the next thing to use Verdo that we're going to need to do is we need to have certificates, and it is you really need to use valid certificates when you're doing this, or at least go through the procedure if you're using a self-sign cert to install those certificates, the root CA signing cert, into your browser cache so that it doesn't ask you every time. With WebRTC, there are checks involved there. So to do that, you need 3 certs, and I don't have public certs that I'm willing to show here, so we're going to just verbally go over this real quick. Those certs, you need to put them into user local FreeSWITCH certs, and there is 3 files that you need to have in there. Your WSS.pim, that's your cert, key, and chain files catted into there, and they're separated by a single carriage return. In your agents.pim, that's just your cert file and your key file separated, just copied and pasted in there, each with the carriage return between it. And then in your CA file.pim, that's going to be your chain file or your root CA. Now, which ones of these depends on whether you have a cert chain file or a root CA there. That's going to depend on the certificate authority that you got search from. I know we use Start SSL certs. I know this has been successfully set up with Komodo and all the different ones, so you can do that. And it's very straightforward. Now, if you want to experiment with self-signed certs, there is information here on creating those. It's very straightforward. Get the SSL.ca tarball here. Make the 2 changes here to use SHA-256 and a larger key size on there, and you're going to want to do that because the browsers are getting to the point where they don't like MD5 and they don't like the SHA-1 signatures, and then it's just as easy to go here. Now, once you've got your certs, you will want to go into your Apache configs and set those up. So in your Apache config, so let's see here, on Debian, that's going to be in the etc Apache 2 directory, sites available. Now, in the sites available, you'll see that you have 000.default.conf and defaultssl.conf. The file that we're most interested in is going to be the defaultssl.conf file. Now, this is disabled by default, so you'll have to enable that here in just a minute. The lines that we're looking for are pretty much on the first or second screen, depending on the size of your terminal. And that's your SSL certificate file, your SSL certificate key file, and right below that, if a chain file is required for your cert, the SSL certificate chain file. You'll want to update these to be whatever the file names are, and if you use the ones that we've used with FreeSWITCH, you can just set those all as they have here on the documentation. Now, to set up Sophia, this gets you ready to go for Apache. Now, you'll also, on Apache, probably have to, it's A2EN mod, and you'll see several mods here, and you'll want to enable the SSL mod. Now, and obviously it'll tell you that if I actually had the cert set up here, you know, how to configure your self-signed certs, but once those are set up, it just spits back out and tell you service Apache 2 restart to make that config change active. So you'll just do a service Apache 2 restart, and Apache will restart, and then you're ready to go. If you have an error in your Apache configs, at this point, you will get an error message here. So now you can go through. At this point, just to make sure the samples are installed, at this point, we're pretty much ready to start up FreeSWITCH. So I'm going to go back in. We'll want to go to User Local FreeSWITCH, and in this case, I just go to User Local FreeSWITCH, bin FreeSWITCH, and I'm going to use the no NAT flag here. If your FreeSWITCH box is behind NAT, and you have UPnP or NAT-PNP on your router, you probably don't want to use the no NAT flag here because FreeSWITCH will automatically detect that you have your NAT-PNP and automatically do the port forwards for your profiles. In my case, I don't have NAT-PNP on the router that this FreeSWITCH box is behind, so I'm going to use the no NAT flag, and that's going to make FreeSWITCH start up about 90 seconds faster than it would instead of waiting on it, making it wait to time out. So now we can just do a couple of checks. Let's look at the Sophia status and Verdo status to make sure everything's going. And as you can see, we have things going here. Now, this is where, at this point, go back over here, and we can, you know, make sure everything is good to go. And I think there'll be a few other config options that you want to do for your cert file, for updating your Apache config. You can go through all these and making sure everything's working right. Now, the one thing that I didn't do here, we install the Verdo demo over into the website. And that is actually quite easy to do on FreeSWITCH here. And in the case of Jesse, that's going to be var www html is a directory that, and you can see there's no, But what you want to do, go back to our FreeSWITCH sources. And right in the root here, you'll see the HTML5 directory. And you'll have your Verto directory here.
Hello, guys. Are you guys still there?
Hey, Brian.
It looks like we might have lost Ken here. I'm waiting on him to respond. Let me change this layout here. So, wait on him. About what he's covered so far. So I guess no questions.
The Windows build hasn't worked for a month. I wonder if some.
Yeah, we're working on that. Completed development environment for Michael Jarris. We are working on that. There's a lot of new dependencies in 1.6 that were not in 1.4. Removed to systemlib, so all of that is being worked on. And if you're involved out with that, by all means, join our mailing list at freeswitch.org, and I can get you involved with the aspect of Windows FreeSWITCH build.
Yeah, I just download it every week and test it, and if it fails to compile, I just try the next week.
You don't file JIRAs or let us know?
Well, I figured you probably know that already, so.
It's not something that, well, we depend on the community to assist us in some. So if you have an issue, join in and help.
Yeah, if you have an issue and Google doesn't show a JIRA for it, generally err on the side of filing a JIRA. We'll either mark or actually start taking a look at it.
Okay.
There is a JIRA on this one. It's just we're waiting on just okay. So if you can actually chip in and assist in getting this working and provide some pull requests, that would be a huge.
Yeah, because it's a big undertaking for the Windows build. There is, I usually test it, but here lately I've been a little taxed to getting things ready for ClueCon, so I haven't built it as often. And knowing 6 wouldn't build, I lost focus on it. So we have Ken back now. It seems he had a
Yay! Actually, that was an unintended dangerous demo there. I just crashed Chrome. So, which actually at that point is a good spot. I don't know where you guys lost me at. I was probably trying to use a separate instance of Chrome to demo the new install there. And what happened is I actually got an error in Chrome that says device or permission error. And then Chrome, the Chrome instance that I was in the conference with, actually, so when that happens, about the only thing you can do is make sure that all Chrome processes are done and not running. And that means if you're like on a Mac, PSAUX, grep, and just kill them all off and then restart Chrome. So in this case, that's what I had to do. So as you can see, though, the process in FreeSWITCH, we've on Debbie and Jesse, we've made really, really simple. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Anyone? Can ask on
Also, it's on IRC, but while we're waiting on people to come up with their questions, we are in the process of setting up it is FreeSWITCH Unstable repo for, let me change here.
We're setting it up for Debian, and we're also working on RPMs for CentOS 7. So for you guys that are using CentOS, we'll try a little bit easier. However, I can't promise that every feature in CentOS 7 once those are ready to go. But we're working hot and heavy on both of those right now.
This allows us to help users in the community that are not as experienced in building FreeSWITCH help us test functionality and features. Say they file a JIRA, we commit the patch to fix their issue. Within an hour, they'll be able to update and install that build to test their issue to make sure it's built. Now, those builds are not QA tested or anything of that nature, so there's not something that you guys would run in production. It is only there as a tool to help us help you faster and help people that aren't in building FreeSWITCH or Linux help us verify that the patches we did for the issues they filed are correct fixed. It'll speed up the turnaround time from bug report to verification for everybody involved in the bug marshaling, all of it.
Yeah, and that those builds that will, keep in mind that they are ephemeral, so when new updates come out, those will be updated, so you won't be able to say, oh, well, I'll June 17th, so I want to go get those again. Once they're updated, the old ones are rolled out, so that we're not keeping, we're not just eating terabytes of disk space, because it does take us a fair bit of space. I think we're up to, what, Brian, close to a terabyte now for those things. So we will be rotating them out so that we're not having to run out and buy 4 terabyte hard drives every other day.
That's true. That's true. But yes, we would like you guys to step up and help us in testing on this stuff. It does, we've done a really good job on our own flushing out issues, and in fact, flushing out issues. So, like the gentleman when Ken at Chrome crashed, he was telling us he has tried to compile on Windows and didn't file bugs. He would just wait and try the next week and wouldn't. This. We want the community to interact with us and let us know these things and work with us to make this as smooth as possible, because that's the only way we, as a community, become a community, is if we work together.
Yeah. So. Exactly. So there's actually a question here on IRC, Brian, that just came in that I want to kind of address real quick. Some of the dependencies that we have here, specifically like libyuv and libvpx, some distros do have libraries in their repos where you can just apt-get update or apt-get install, say, libyuv or even libvpx. That the versions that they have out there right now, and anybody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time I checked, those libraries are not new enough. If you need to get those, you can get those directly from the FreeSWITCH stash, and build them yourself if you need to. So you can get those out of the support dependencies project on stash, and they're all there. But definitely, I know for a fact that libyuv is required for building at this point, as is libvpx. The core requires those to build, so you'll want to have those in.
Well, not anymore. As of last night, I don't know if Ken caught the commit, but as of last night, Jairus and I committed the patch that makes those optional. So you were not around when we did that late last night. So.
Yeah, I was back after that. I must have missed that.
Yes.
So, yeah, but keep in mind, even with that patch, if you don't have those installed, you're not going to get the video stuff. Because libyuv is required for the video stuff to work. That is objective, if I remember correctly, right, Brian?
And your audio is not functioning.
Really? Are you kidding me?
You crashing again?
The crash probably left his microphone in an inconsistent and unmanageable state, which does happen from time to time. So, Ken will be right back. So, let me get my dashboard up here. Sorry. So with that, we're gonna wrap this up in just a second. If you guys have any additional questions, comments, concerns, you can contact Ken or I. That's Ken or swk@freeswitch.org or Brian at freeswitch.org. If you have any questions about ClueCon, need assistance in registration, have questions about transportation, you can call the 800 number on ClueCon.com or shoot an email to marketing@ClueCon.com. And I think, let me look one thing here. So you can join us again next June 24th. Who do we have next week? Let's look at the
2600.
Yeah, that's right. 2600 Hertz is going to be here.
And obviously my mic is working again.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we're wrapping this video up. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap?
No. The only thing I'd like to add is, guys, keep an eye on the on Confluence. That's where the updates are going. Also, if you're not subscribed to the mailing list, you want to subscribe to the mailing list because there is a lot of info that goes across that on a daily basis. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook or G+. That way you can get all the updates as these are coming out. Like I even missed an update last night because I wasn't paying attention and dealing with trying to get some of these RPMs built. So we can miss these updates if you're not watching what's going on there, and there's a lot of information that you want to see, especially if you want to run the latest and greatest FreeSWITCH code. So follow us on those locations. Next week, 2600 Hertz will be with us showing off a few things. So you guys want to be back here for that. Also, if you haven't registered for ClueCon, go to ClueCon.com and register today. And we'll see you guys next week at noon Central. Thank you.